Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and the pile of paints before me. As promised, I am redoing my Dioxazine Violet / Purple video, and I finally got all the colors. So, a few things before we start swatching, just so you know. There are 27 that I am showing you today, 27 brands. Did not realize there was that many Dioxazine Violets out there, but there's a catch. Normally I do these by the name, however I am also picking them up by the pigment. So traditionally, most Dioxazine Violet paints are made with PB23. It's the most common pigment you're going to see. However, there are those made with PB37. Both are variants of Dioxazine Violet pigment. It's transparent, it's dark, it has a very high tint, so keep that in mind. And one thing to keep in mind is that also the light fastness can be a little bit different. PB37 is considered more light fast than PB23. So it'd be kind of interesting because there are only, I think, 3 out of the 27 that use PB37, while everyone else uses PB23. That said, the difference is not that much, obviously, because we have some very expensive brands here throwing down PB23, and it would be ridiculous if they shortchanged you on that. You will also notice PB23 is slightly redder compared to PB37. So we're going to go through and you'll notice the names aren't all Dioxazine Violet, though most are. So I decided to go by the pigment. Now the reason for this is all of these paints are single pigment paints here before us, which means there's no mixes. So as long as they included the pigment that is Dioxazine Violet, I'm putting it in here, since not all of them use the name. Some do, or a big majority do, but that way we could get a full comparison rather than just going off the pigment, because I could do that, but then I would be doing the same thing. PB23, I'd pull all of these and then have like 3 wandering PB37s. So yeah, though some may be called mauve or violet blue or whatever, as long as it actually used the single pigment that is Dioxazine Violet, that is what we're using. Whew. All right, so let's get swatching because we are going to be at this for a while. Okay, first up is the A Gallo, and that is PB37, so that's one of those ones where I was saying some do the PB37. I will tell you, Dioxazine Violet is one of my favorite colors. I don't know why. It's just always been a color I've really, really loved. Kind of curious if anyone else has a love for Dioxazine. Okay, next we have Blocks. Now this one is a PB23. That one looks really nice. Okay, Da Vinci is a PB23. Oh wow, look at that color. I know sometimes when they're all next to each other, it's kind of like, what color? But you know, I can see it on my side. Okay, so now we have Dollar Brownies Artists. Permanent Mauve is what they call theirs, but it is PB23. Okay, Daniel Smith is Carbazole Violet. So butchered that. PB23 as well. Sorry, I was a little too concentrated on a couple of those first ones, but they are, as they're drying, you'll see them better. Okay, so here's Grumbacher Academy. Now, they call it mauve, but they're using PB23. Wipe off my brush a little there. That way it's a little lighter for you. Okay, Holbein calls theirs Permanent Violet, but they also use PB23. I'm just gonna grab a little bit more here. Used a little too much water up top, but and you can already see some that have a little bit more of a blue-violet thing going on. Okay, Lucas, they do Dioxazine Violet, and it is PB 23. Okay, M. Graham calls it Dioxazine Purple, but they use PB 23. All right, Marie's Masters, they call it Brilliant Purple, but again, it's PB 23. My Mary Blue calls it Permanent Violet Blue, but they use PB 23. Now you can actually see the bluish tinge there. And this will be one of those hard ones, kind of like the, what was it, quinacridone magenta. I mean, because we're using the same pigment, so might not be as fun of a comparison, but I think they're fun. Okay, Mission Gold, they call it Dioxazine Violet, PB 23. I have had this one for a very, very long time. It's actually one of my favorite Dioxazine Violets. Between them and one from Roman Schmal, that's what really got me into the color. Okay, Michael Harding is Deep Purple Dioxazine, but they use PB 23. Ooh, I like that one a lot. There's just something about that color. Okay, Old Holland is Dioxazine Mauve, but again, another PB 23 player. Okay, next up is Core. Theirs is called Dioxazine Violet, or sorry, Dioxazine Purple. You knew what I meant, right? And they use PB 23 as well. Okay, now we have our Phoenix Dioxazine Violet, PB 23. It is from a pan, so my mass tone isn't as concentrated. I'm gonna grab a little bit more, but I will tell you, this paint activated incredibly well, like super fast for being a pan. Okay, Rosa Gallery is violet, but it's PV 23. I had a little too much water down here. Too much, too little. Like Goldilocks. Okay, Rembrandt calls theirs blue violet, and they use PV 23. Oops. We're gonna have a little mingling here. Roman Schmal, fun fact, I bought two full-size pans for this PV 37, by the way. It's for their Dioxazine Violet. And I already owned a full-size pan. Don't ask me what I was thinking, but I might give away those two extra full-size pans because I barely dented the one I have as it is. Okay, so now we are on to Sennelier. Theirs is Dioxazine Purple, PV 23. It's a good thing I painted my nails galaxy colors this week. So if I get paint on them, I'll just match my swatches, right? Okay, Schminke Violet is PV 23. Okay, Turner is Dioxazine Violet, and they do PV 23 as well. Then we have Utrecht Dioxazine purple. Why do I struggle with that one? PV, oh, sorry, we lost our little focus there. PV23. Apologize, I'm working with a new camera, and it doesn't like to lock. Okay, last one on this page, and then I unfortunately have to go to the next page. Van Gogh, Permanent Blue Violet, and they do PV23. Okay, Winsor & Newton Cotman, Dioxazine Purple, PV23. Winsor & Newton Pro is Winsor Violet, but it also is Winsor Violet Dioxazine. And it's PV23. I had meant to do these in alphabetical order, but I forgot about my Kuretake paint that I grabbed. Now they call it Imperial Violet, but they use PV23. Get a little bit off my brush there. This one is a pan, but it is very concentrated. All right, now I'm gonna dry these because that's of course the best way to judge a color. So let me dry them and we will be back. Okay, well, we're all in one frame, but I'll have to zoom in eventually. I just wanted to show you all 27 colors from afar. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, honestly, I know this is kind of like quinacridone magenta, where you're like, well, they all look the same. That said, they really don't for me, because I can see them in person, right? So let's talk about the PV37s, because like I said, we have one up here from A Gallo. I know Roman Schmal, there is the other one. So we only had two. I thought it was three, but it's two. Okay. What's funny though is between those two PV37s, they are quite different. So check out the A Gallo one. It's darker, kind of almost like murkier a little there. Whereas here's Roman Schmal's PV37. Kind of interesting, right? I mean, look how much darker that one is. So I found that pretty interesting. Granted, I had meant to put the two rando PV37s together, and I did not. But they're in alphabetical order, so hey, we can do it that way. All right, let's talk about the colors. I want to zoom in though so you guys can see this better. I wish I could get so many colors on a single sheet, but I would like really kill swatch space. I'll work on it. Okay. So all the rest are PV23, but there is quite a difference between them if you look at it. Look at the mass tone first, but some do have a little bit more of a bluish tinge to them. Others definitely have that redder shade. But I've got to say, so Dioxazine Violet to me, like I said, the one that had made me fall in love with Dioxazine Violet at first was Roman Schmal. I really enjoyed it. I also really liked Winsor & Newton's Dioxazine Violet, which is right here. But then there was also Mission Gold. It was one of my favorites. And so you can see they're all pretty different in that regard, color-wise. I mean, this one's definitely at mass tone, a lot darker and deeper. But here's the thing with Dioxazine Violet. What is it to you? Is it going to be a darker purple like this one? Are you going to have something a little bit lighter, or even something with a tinge of, if I could find it, it was in my head, you know, a little bit more blue leaning than red leaning, like this one's a little bit more red. What is it to you, right? Because it's different for all of us. But for me, out of swatching all of these, I have got to say, oh man, the Kuretake's Imperial Violet is pretty dark. It's, honestly, it's really close to the Daniel Smith, which I found kind of interesting. But I would have to say some of my favorites, because I'm looking at them here in person, I really don't like the A Gallo one. I also don't like, it's almost chalky. So that's kind of interesting. Whereas the PV37 down here is very smooth. Granted, this was from a pan, this is from a tube, so it's more concentrated, but still, it definitely isn't my jam. Blocks isn't my favorite. Even you can see the staining here, for example, but it's a very expensive brand. It's just a very expensive brand, and I don't know, I expect more when I pay so much for a tube. But let's see, the ones I really like that while I was painting them, I thought, oh, you know what, that's really nice. Surprisingly, Da Vinci. I swear, in every little comparison video we do, Da Vinci really stands out. Their paints are great, and a lot of times they do a lot of single pigment paints, and they're good quality. Don't discount the Da Vinci. And they're cheap. So Da Vinci definitely stood out while I was painting that one. I actually did like the Daniel Smith one, but it wasn't like, ooh. And then I did like the Michael Harding one, how it looks dry. Now this one's a little bit more redder than the, you know, more blue-violet ones. The My Mary Blue and the M. Graham, I really like this M. Graham one. That's actually really pretty, the way it came out. Old Holland, you know, I'm kind of just meh about. Same with Core, Phoenix, even Holbein and Grumbacher, I'm not really feeling. The Rembrandt is actually not too bad. I like the depth. Because to me, a dioxazine violet is a dark purple. Like, it's got to have that deep purple. The Sennelier one actually isn't too shabby either. Turner's isn't too bad, but it's kind of just a meh for me. So is Schminke, which is weird. I used to be a real big Schminke gal until I discovered Roman Schmal. Winsor & Newton, so both of them do PV23, so Cotman and Pro. But can you see the difference? I hope you can. I'm filming in 8K, but that only does so much. The Dioxazine from Winsor Pro, to me, is a little bit smoother. I like the shade a little bit better than what you get from the Cotman. But that said, they're pretty close to one another. And if you're on a budget, just grab the Cotman. I mean, this is way cheaper than this one here. The Kiritaki one is nice, but like I said, it is really close to Daniel Smith. So if you prefer a tube, you can at least go to Daniel Smith and grab a tube, or you can get these monster open stock pans from Kiritaki. It's nice that they have the huge, I mean, this is like putting full pans to shame, right? Look at this thing. Ta-da! Full pan, or extra full pan, half pan, and like a Roman Schmal full pan would come to about like there. So, just a fun little fact. But I really do like the Michael Harding. I know it's a little bit more reddish, but there's something about it that I really dig. I couldn't like rank these though. Oh, that's what's killing me. Roman Schmal is the one that started me on this color, but if I had never used it and I had to pick my top three, I'm honestly going to say my top three, my number one is the M. Graham. I really like the M. Graham. Second is Michael Harding. I don't know why, but I'm just drawn to that one. And then third would have to be, oh, I'm so sorry, Roman Schmal. I love you. Third is tied between Da Vinci and Mission Cold for me. And then, yeah, my Roman Schmal that started it all. It rhymes, doesn't it? Would be fourth, but all of those are just so pretty. Now, I will have these in dot cards on my store, the fat dot cards, if you want to buy those and test them out yourself. All of these except the ones that were pans, and there was only 3 that were pans: the Phoenix, Kiritaki, and Roman Schmal. But yeah, overall, I really like these. And if anyone wants to buy a Roman Schmal full pan off me, let me know, because I now have 2 extra. I don't know what happened there. I also accidentally, because I was buying Dioxazine Violet, Lemon Yellow, and all these other colors, I accidentally duplicated quite a few Dioxazines, so there will be double the amount of dot cards available. For fun fact. But yeah, let me know which ones are your favorite out of all of these. Like I said, I don't know. For some reason, I'm liking this one, even though this to me isn't really a traditional Dioxazine Violet, because I like mine a little bit darker, whereas like the M Gram is more what I would picture, but my eyes keep going back to it. So I guess there's something, right? If your eyes keep going back to a color. But the Mission is very pretty. I'm just loving the way the M Gram one looks. Oh, that's just stunning. And then of course the Da Vinci. Man, Da Vinci just keeps impressing me. So let me know in the comments below what you own of Dioxazine Violet, Purple, Mauve, whatever they decide to call it from the brands you have, your favorites, what you think. Also let me know, I am working on the Ultramarine Blue. It's just a very tedious task. If you know about Ultramarine Blue, the color, you can have granulating, not granulating. It's a task. So I will either be doing like a lemon yellow, hooker's green, or redoing my Payne's gray probably next. And I also purchased a bunch of lavender. Why? Because I like it. Can you make lavender yourself? Absolutely. You could actually take this if you wanted and do a little mixing and make your own lavender. But I like convenience colors. I am that lazy. I buy my greens. I don't mix them. Rarely do I mix them. So we will be doing a lavender comparison. I was going to do that first, but I was waiting on 2 to arrive. So there was that. But I'd love to know what you guys think and what you want to see next. I am working on it. I try to go through, but I'd love to see if you guys agree, like with that M Gram, because that is just stunning. I almost want to sit down and just paint with it. I'll paint with it. Now I have a whole palette now of all of these tubes. I might actually sit down and just like use every single one from the palette and make a painting because that's what happens. I squeeze these out and then I've got palettes upon palettes of paint. I need to start putting them like on fat dot cards or something. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for another swatch sesh. Ooh, there we go. See, now I can overlap them better. And until next time, take care. Bye now, everyone.